You've said that the president should really hang tough with the Chinese. Why do you think that ultimately President Xi will have to back down?
Look, when you look at the construct of China's economy, their economy is nowhere near as strong as the world, or as they would like the world to believe. They've moved to a situation where they built dollar reserves over time by being the world's factory floor, and then also by stealing intellectual property from us and earning a return on investment on that. And what you've seen in the last couple of years is their pile of reserves in dollars has declined so precipitously that they're having problems with, again, their desperate need for dollars and resources. They're the largest importer in the world of crude oil. They import food. They import raw materials. They have to pay dollars for those things. Their own economy is denoted in RMB, and they can print as much RMB as they want, and they have. Their problem is their access to dollars, and I think that the U.S. is in the best position we've ever been in to actually reset this relationship with China. These trade negotiations are much more of a clash of cultures than a simple trade agreement.
Well, exactly.
We must reset. We must reset the relationship in every way.
A clash of cultures, as you just said. They have to play ultimately the same economic rules as the United States, but they have different political rules. Can't they withstand more pain than we can as a practical matter in this country?
Yeah, I think what everyone must understand is the Chinese Communist Party cannot accept a written agreement or enforcement measures that aren't entirely under their own control. That is just not. They are not going to enter into an agreement that's both measurable and enforceable unilaterally by one side. It's literally it's counterintuitive to the entire let's just say dogma of the Chinese Communist Party. And Xi is willing to sacrifice economic well-being to maintain control over his country. So I think we all think in terms of just pure economics, what would be best economically for the world. But I think economic well-being is not the key to establishing the legitimacy of the rule of the Communist Party.
Kyle, does that mean you want to be shorting the UN right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you just think about the way that China operates. We think that China represents 15% of global GDP. Of course, if you convert their RMB GDP into dollars at the current exchange rate, but yet less than 1% of all cross-border currency settlement is in their currency. So it's important for us to realize that the joke is on us. If they were to open their capital account, if they were to just allow all of the Chinese to invest abroad and move their money abroad into countries that actually have rules of law, their currency would depreciate 40, 50% in a day. So what the Chinese are trying to do is prop up their currency and hold on long enough to maintain rule and never enter into a trade agreement like the United States would like them to enter into. And I think we're making the right moves here in taking a little bit of market pain to maintain the national security of our country in the long run in our relationship with China.
So, Kyle, how aggressively would you be shorting it? I mean, do you think we're going to go to like 6.4, 6.3? I mean, what's the play here for you?
I mean, look, this is much more than a currency play. Quote for me. I'll be clear with you and with all of your viewers. I've taken such an interest in this and helping our country do the right thing that I've closed my Chinese currency positions. Now, I have other Southeast Asian currency positions on, but just so that you can hear from me, I don't have a vested interest in simply China's currency anymore. I think this is such an important moment in time for U.S. national security that all of the work that I've done over the last 7 years is kind of moving more into the political sphere than the financial sphere. But yes, if you have money invested in China, first of all, what you've been able to do, the first thing you have to do is realize that there is no rule of law there. So once you get over the fact that there's no rule of law there, that they don't respect human rights, and that they don't play by our rules, if you can get over those three things, then maybe you should invest some more money in China. I think the U.S. institutional community is breaching its fiduciary duty to its own investors by actually investing in a country that has that many problems.
Kyle, you've said that the United States right now is making the right moves in this trade battle going on with China. To what end? What is the goal here? You've also said that really it is almost impossible for the Chinese Communist Party to agree to the sort of agreement that President Trump is insisting upon. If we can never get to that agreement, then what are we going to accomplish here? Is it mainly to just bring down the Chinese, to slow down their economy?
No, it's clear. Our goal is not to slow down the Chinese economy. Our goal is to protect U.S. national security. They've stolen the $200 to $300 billion worth of intellectual property from us every year for 10 years. They've done so many things to the United States because we've basically been a pacifist nation over many different administrations. And we're finally standing up and saying, listen, this has to change. And, a great example is, look, President Xi sat in the Rose Garden with President Obama and told us that he wasn't militarizing the South China Sea, that was never going to happen. And at the same time, he was militarizing the South China Sea. He was lying. It was president to president. He lied to us. And so when you say to what end, I think the U.S. needs to think about our own national security in the long run, and we need to think about how we're going to trade with China, how we're going to have a relationship with China when we don't trust one another. So we need to bring trust back into this situation, and we need to set the ground rules for what the U.S. is willing to do in a trade relationship, i.e. not be stolen from, not to also face industrial policy that can actually, as a state actor, they can put various industries in the U.S. out of business simply by selling things below market prices. The Chinese Communist Party has a different idea of how it wants to rule the world, i.e. whether you're looking at China 2025 or whether you're looking at the 100-year marathon that ends in 2049. China's goal is simple. China's goal is to maintain their control of the Chinese Communist Party, and they're willing to suffer to do so, i.e. they don't have economic well-being as their number one goal. Their number one goal is again, to maintain rule and to maintain the legitimacy of rule by the Communist Party. Those are different things than the U.S. looks at.
Kyle, if this is about geopolitics rather than economics, doesn't your position really go far beyond the effect of tariffs? That is to say, U.S. companies shouldn't really be going in and making investments and doing work in China because, as we know, whether officially through requirements of sharing intellectual property or unofficially through hacking, when U.S. companies go in there, we are losing intellectual property. So doesn't the logical position say, actually, we should be disinvesting in China?
You said it perfectly. The real issue here is if you're investing foreign direct investment into China and you're a U.S. public or private company, you know that at any point in time the Chinese can change the rules and or take more of your intellectual property or actually just kick you out of their country. And this is all the U.S. companies are all chasing El Dorado, right? They're chasing the 1.3 billion people and the allure of potential profits in China. And I think what U.S. companies are going to realize over time is they earn very little and they give up too much for being in China. And to take your question to the next level, I don't think we should have any strategically sensitive companies in China, right? We clearly shouldn't have silicon chip wafer manufacturing facilities in China. We shouldn't have industries that also blur that line between commercial and military use, and that technology be sitting over in China when clearly, look, what do you call China? We call them our frenemy at the moment, right? They're our friend when we're trying to earn money from a trade relationship with them, and they're really our enemy when you look at their movements, both geopolitically and militaristically in the South China Sea. I think what we're all going to realize is they were never our friend as time moves forward.